In this video, I'm going to show how to do a community reconstitution project. The first step is to pick a census record and then try to add everyone that was living in the town in that particular census to the family tree. And this will allow us to have a profile for each person, and then later we can use this to add content and photos and other things. So let's start by here we are on the FamilySearch.org website. We're going to hit Search Records. Now we're going to start by using the United States Census for 1920. 1920 is nice because most of the people in the census are deceased today, but it's recent enough that people living in a town will have relatives that they know in this census. Now we'll pick the town we want to work with. I'm going to be using Grangeville, Idaho as an example today. And then sometimes we can narrow down the search. So I'm actually going to focus right now on children, so birth year 1901 to 1919, because children are usually part of a nuclear family, and this is going to allow us to focus on families. Now we can always go back and change this restriction and focus on other people, but this will give us a place to start. So right here in the upper left it says 640, so there are 640 people that we need to work on. And but notice that this little symbol right here, this pedigree icon, means that this person right here is already on the family tree and is attached to this census record. So I've been working on the city. You can see that most of the people are there. There's a little gap right here of Alice Whited. She's a niece, so that's a little trickier because I won't know who her parents are. So let's just jump to a different page. And again, we're looking for an empty spot. So right here we have someone named William C. Baker. So let's look at William. So here he is living with his parents. And so now we're going to just open up another window and go to Family Search. And this is probably the trickiest part, is you're just going to go to a person page, including yourself. You're going to hit Recents, and then you're going to hit Add Unconnected Person. Okay, so now we're going to fill this in with the information for our person. So here we have William C. Baker, so I'll copy that and drop that in here, and then we'll put male and deceased, and we'll get the birth year, which is 1914. We'll put that here, and then we'll get the birth state, which is Idaho. Okay, now when we hit next, it's going to go look and see if there's a possible match. Now it didn't find a match, so we're going to create a person. Now what we're going to do is link this person we created to that census record. Notice it's the first one that comes up. It's in purple, which means we've already looked at it. So we'll click here, and we're going to attach to the family tree. At this point, we're going to attach the census record to William C. Baker, and then we're going to add in his parents. So we've created a new person, and then we're going to add in his mother. And now when we add in mothers, we take out their last name because we don't know their maiden name just yet. So now we've just added 3 new people to the family tree, and we've attached them to this record. Now our hope is to add other records and learn more about this family and try to branch out until we connect this family to the broader family tree. Now notice that we've put this information in here. Other record hints start to show up over here. So let's take a look at one of those record hints. And notice we have a William T. Baker living in Grangeville, Idaho, living with Bert and Jesse. So this is our person. And so now again we can attach these records, and notice now that he has a younger brother. Now we need to be a little careful when we add people who were born in 1923 because some of them are still alive. Now what we can do is add them, and you can put in a little note: born in 1923, will check for death record. Now, if I can't find a death record for Richard, I'll go back and delete him. But for now, I'm going to use this as a clue so I can find additional records for this family. So now that I have this other record, you can see now I have a marriage record. So let's take a look at that marriage record. So notice here his father's name is Bert Baker, and his mother's name is Jess Colvin, and his wife is this. So now notice that I've just picked up a clue, which is now I know the maiden name of his mother. And so the more clues I can find, the more likely I am to be able to connect this family up to the family tree. Now one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check on Ancestry and see if I can find any additional information that might help me out. So here's that record that I started with. Now notice that over here I'm getting a lot of records. So here I have a Social Security death index, I have this marriage record, I have a draft card. The other thing I can do is I can hit find others who are researching this person. And notice that in this case none of these really seem to match my person. But what I would do at this point now is I would just continue to look at the clues that I have and use those clues to start to add additional information about this person. So here we have his exact birth date and a middle name. So we can come back to our record, and each time we add more information, we're going to start to get a better idea of about this person's life. And our hope is that we'll eventually connect him up to the family tree. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here because at this point, and you notice that every time I add new information, I'm getting more things. Now the last thing is let's just look at the dad really quick. And sometimes you'll find right here it'll have a possible duplicate. If that pops up, then you'll want to go check on that. But let's see if we can find Bert's parents. Let's see if his parents show up in any record. Now notice that here they are in the 1940 census records. We could definitely attach that and see Bert showing up in other records. Let's just see really quick if Bert shows up in an ancestry file. So here's Bert in the 1920. We can also go edit search family trees and see if Bert shows up in any family trees. Nothing showed up, so let's try one more opportunity here. Okay, so notice here we have additional records for Bert, and some of these might give us clues about who his parents were. But let's just check to see if he shows up in a family tree. So we have a Bertha Baker, we have an Albert Baker, so none of those are matching up very well. Though here we have a Bert Baker in Grangeville in 1910, and notice here he's listed as a stepson to Allie Baker. And so we could start to use this to get some clues on who his parents were, and we can branch out until we hit the tree. And really it's up to you how far you want to branch out. Right now this particular family is an unconnected network. It's much better if we can connect them to the broader tree, but at the very least now these 4 people now have a place for people to go. And the other thing, as I mentioned before, I would spend some time trying to find a death record for Richard, and if I couldn't find one for him, now notice that let's just start right here, and again here I'm going to have a Social Security death index, so I'd have to do a little bit of research to see if this was the same person, but if so, then I could use that information to confirm that he's deceased. But at this point, basically you'll use your traditional family history tools to add additional sources and branch out. And so I hope this is a great experience, and just keep in mind our main goal here is just to ensure that each person who was living in Grangeville in the 1920 census has a place on the tree, so that when we go and find yearbook photos, newspaper articles, other photos, we would have a place to add those photos here under memories, and I'll have a separate video about that.